Hello, world. It's me, Briar, and welcome to another book review. I should have grabbed the book first. Death at the Mourning House. I also really enjoyed this one. I didn't enjoy it as much as I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me, because it didn't make me think as much as that one did. But I still really enjoyed it. I don't really have any big complaints. So I think I would have this at like a solid 4-star because it was really good. Excuse you. Excuse you. Rude. Hello. If you walk in front of my camera, you say hi to the camera. Yes, ma'am. Alright, good enough. Anyway. So, I didn't enjoy it as much as, fuck. I already said that. But yeah, so this one didn't make me think as deeply as I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me. Didn't really challenge me all that much, but I still enjoyed it. It was a nice little read. And honestly, it was a nice little break from how much the other one made me think and self-reflect. So, solid 4 stars. I can't really think of any flaws in the narrative. Except for, okay, I wouldn't call it a flaw. I would say it's more of a nitpick. The chapter where Clara is having the delivery boy spy on the family. By the way, spoilers. Sorry for that minor spoiler to those of you who still want to read this book, which you should. You should, especially if you like queer media. If you're looking for queer stories to read or just engage with in general, highly suggest this one. This one is really fun. The queer teenagers, and just about all of them are queer, almost, if most of them, if not all of them. They're fun. The teenagers feel like actual teenagers in this. Like, the dialogue is pretty natural. There weren't any lines that took me out of it, where that is sometimes a problem you can run into when reading books about teenagers written by adults, which vast majority of them are. So dialogue very nice in here. This is a nice queer read. Anyway, spoilers aside, yes, spoilers, because we know who I am. Excuse you. Cats. But yes, we know who I am. So, the one chapter where Clara kind of gets the delivery boy to spy on her little brother and how he treats the staff wasn't entirely necessary for me. I feel like that the main purpose of that chapter was to reinforce this idea of Clara as a red herring, and it did make me mildly wonder. But ultimately, Unity was just acting so weird. This book could not convince me that Unity wasn't involved at least one of the deaths at the Mourning House. So, whether it was accidental or what. So I wondered if when Clara went right to Max's body, I wondered, did she, for the sake of the family, and then did Unity kill her because of that? So, stop. But then, like, before we got to the reveal of the chapter, I'm like, no, Unity is still really fucking weird. Unity is so fucking weird. And I couldn't exactly put into words why until we got to the chapter from her point of view. And I'm like, you stay over there. Ooh, and she was so brutal, too. So brutal and matter of the fact. And, like, she was so proud of it. And I'm just nauseous. Because, like, I'm not going to say that Unity was my initial guess. My initial guess was something with the father, Philip, because he was a eugenicist. I feel like Philip would have been a better red herring, personally, than Clara. And that's not a nitpick. That's not a flaw. That is just Briar doing Briar brain things. Like Clara absolutely was a very good red herring. Um, eh, I don't know. I don't know. I did like Clara. I did like the ones from her point of view. I like the ones from Victory's point of view. Um, I don't know if I would have had that one chapter about the delivery boy in there. Moving on to the present characters, though, I really like Marlowe. Marlowe is a really fun main character. And it's just, I really like all of the asides of her narration pattern where she'll kind of like talk to the reader. It very much reminds me of all of the footnotes of the Bartimaeus series where Bartimaeus is just being kind of a cheeky asshole. Marlowe isn't like really a cheeky asshole. Marlowe reads more like an ADHD kid telling you one part of the story, but then they go off on a tangent about this other thing that you're not sure is. So, like, I saw how it related because that is how my brain works. If my stepmother was reading this book, she would probably get super irritated by that. And she's like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You know? Actually, no, my stepmom does it too. I think my stepdad would be like, what? Why are you, you were talking about this. Why are you talking about this other thing? What? And I get that reaction a lot. Okay, so seeing a narrator do it made me so happy that I genuinely enjoyed that, and that is a big reason why this is 4 stars, because the narration is so engaging, it's so conversational, and I really liked it. It really caught my attention. It did something really interesting for me. As for like the conflict between her and Akilah, like, and like how when she finally had the conversation with Akilah and they talked it out and they got together, that was so sweet. That was so sweet. I also like the present killer because honestly, like, I'm not gonna say that I was surprised by the reveal because I wasn't. It's very rare when reveals actually surprise me. Unity's reveal surprised me, not because I didn't think she was a killer, like I suspected she was a killer. The amount of planning, I thought it was maybe going to be an accident. But no, like the planning and the brutality of it all, like, goddamn. What the fuck? Genuinely, Unity. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Like, oh my god. Just brutal. She was just brutal. Like, not as in brutal on, like, Game of Thrones level or anything, but just, like, did not expect that from her. It's always the quiet ones. Unity, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna make that joke. Because it's not a joke. No. Unity, the vibes were rancid. I'm gonna leave it at that. I had a huge internal conflict for a second there. April not so much. So the one thing that kind of got me into wondering about April, the further we got into the book, it was just weird how much focus she was getting compared to the other kids outside of Ricky. It was just weird. She was the only one that we didn't really see. She and Tom were kind of the only ones that we didn't see have any real conflict with Chris, the first murder victim. But, like, the narrative focus, like, whereas Tom was mentioned once, maybe twice, not like, obviously not once, maybe twice, but like where Tom didn't get a lot of scenes. Tom was not that memorable. Okay, Tom was like the wallflower of wallflowers. Nobody cared about Tom. Okay, April was constantly there. Constantly there. And so I'm like I didn't think anything of it. I'm just like, okay, this is a little weird. A little weird. And then Dr. Hinton turns up missing. And I'm like, okay. She's definitely dead. The question is where, you know? But the idea of the storm trapping everybody there so that they can't go to the police, because that was the plan, to go to the police, but everybody's trapped on this island, power's out, very, very well done. And the storm was getting led up to from the very beginning. And it makes sense why they're all over there. Like, because Marlo doesn't have anywhere to go. Where the fuck is Marlo gonna go? Right? Like, so it makes sense. They're all over there. It would be a little too clunky, too messy if they all went to different places on the island, wherever they all lived, because again, where was Marlo gonna go? So they decided that, and storms, it's not like storms are a rare occurrence over there. I mean, they were having a storm party. That makes sense to me. I mean, I grew up in South Mississippi. Hurricanes hit at least once every year, of varying degrees. I remember getting together with the whole family in one of the bigger houses, be it my grandparents or my aunts and uncles, and just one of the bigger houses where there's like a lot of shelter space, and we would play like fucking dominoes. We'd play card games. We'd read the Bible. And you know, we just like get together. We'd watch movies so long as the power was on, or until the power turned off, and then we'd have candlelit like board games and whatnot. Or we'd have our little lanterns and flashlights and play games, and you know, we would just, you know, snack. It was a time. It was a pretty good time. I actually remember those somewhat fondly. I usually don't remember family gatherings fondly, but those were fun. So I get the appeal at the storm party with a whole bunch of teenagers. Um and like the tooth thing was really smart. I like the tooth thing. This was just really fun to engage with all around. And even though it didn't make me think as deeply as as I feed her to the beast and the beast is me, this is still one that I might reread. Not next year, but like at some point, if I just want to read something short and sweet, this is going to be my go-to. As for like the queer thing, so there's a lot of queer jokes in here that a cishet person who does not like a lot of queer references and whatnot, or even some queer people don't like that. Queer references, tangents, if that is not something you're interested in, do not pick this book up. You're not going to like it. There are some mild discussions on eugenics. That is not the main focus of it. Like, Unity wholeheartedly believes in eugenics. Clara doesn't care. Clara just wants to do what Clara wants to do. Victory outright thinks it's abhorrent. So there are different viewpoints on eugenics that are very briefly touched on, but that's not what the story is about, if that makes sense. Again, just a very good read. Kind of light, kind of fluffy. I mean, 4 people die. Actually, if you look at the Ralstons, a lot more people die, but 5 people are murdered. And there is, ooh, yes, okay. So there is one suicide in here. The suicide is really sad. The suicide is not out of depression or mental illness. It could be argued PTSD to a degree. The suicide is because the aunt was so guilty over what happened, she decided to take Unity. And because she loved Unity, because she was like a mother to Unity and really all of the children, she didn't let Unity die alone, despite Unity making two of her siblings die alone. And I did think that was heartbreaking. That did make me cry. The heartfelt letter that she wrote to her dear friend, that hit hard, because that level of devotion and that level of guilt, my heart. So that was pretty heavy. That last letter was pretty heavy. For the most part, this is a very light read, very fluffy, for me at least. And then that last part was a gut punch, which I think was a really smart decision. That is not a complaint about the tone switching there. Though, I will say that Marlo is kind of in a depression and in a funk. Like, her mind is over analyzing her relationship with Tequila and over analyzing her feelings about Ricky. Ricky is interesting. I liked Ricky. I thought, she was a little fun aside. I never fully felt the chemistry between her and Marlo. But she was a funny character. I liked her. Another character that I liked, I think Van is at least in my top 5 characters. I really liked Van. He was fun. And he was more complex than I initially expected him to be. It was just all around the characters in this book were super, super interesting. And I did like, let me see. Let me see if I can find the page. Okay, so like, this is such a teenager thing for me. And it kind of, I don't know why, it gives slight Mean Girl Regina George vibes in a good way, in a funny way. So Marlo is going on a rant. Let's see. And it's the last line of that. I got myself under control enough to speak. It doesn't matter if Dr. Henson saw who killed Chris. Let's say she didn't. What matters is it sounded like she could have. Think about it. You get here and you realize that Dr. Henson has a dead-on view of Mulligan Island in this camera with an amazing zoom. You find out that she wakes up early and does yoga here. She says a bunch of stuff that sounds like she saw something, but maybe she didn't. Maybe she meant exactly what she said when she told me she wanted to keep an eye on everyone. She wanted someone from the outside to read the room because you'd all just had a friend die. Maybe she just wanted to know if you were all okay. Then she said that stuff about evil things happening out in the open. She was talking about this house, about eugenics. In other words, maybe she meant exactly what it sounded like and what we all thought she meant in the first place. What if you killed her for nothing, you paranoid freak? I would have put little. Like, you paranoid little freak. The first time my brain read paranoid little freak. So maybe not Mean Girl vibes. I don't know. It's still, the delivery of it still made me laugh. And I liked it. I just liked it. It was mentioned because this, as murder mysteries do, especially in regards to like the Ralston family and the eugenics, this had the potential to be really heavy, and it was in some parts. But I think the humor and the conversational narrative that keeps going on tangents really helps uplift the heaviness. So 4 out of 5 stars for this one, solid 4 out of 5, which I think is gonna bump down North is the Night to 3.5 stars for me, because as much as I enjoyed that, as much as it did kind of like make me nostalgic for my own like queerness, that it had a glaring fault with the Lumi situation that I just can't ignore in good faith, because 5 stars, hands down 5 stars, 4 stars, neither of these have a big flaw like that. And I enjoyed both of these more than I enjoyed North is the Night by like a lot. So North is the Night is kind of sitting between a 3-star and a 3.5-star. As for the next book I'm going to review, I'm going to be real, this is probably going to take me more than a week. I really started it yesterday. I'm not that far into it. I decided I was going to go out on a limb, because I read 3 books that I really enjoyed. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one. This is Sarah J. Maas. I'm not going to say that she's a terrible author. I'm going to say that I have heard not great things, a lot of not great things. We're not going to get into the drama that she has been involved in, because at least one of her tweets, if we are in the know, at least one of her tweets also pissed me off. But I'm giving it a shot. Do I think that this is going to be worth the $25 that I paid for it? I don't know. But as I said in the, I don't know if I said it. I know that I was thinking it. But as I either said or thought in the review about I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me, sometimes you need to get ready to be uncomfortable. You need to face things that you don't want to face. If you want to grow as a person, as a writer, whatever your goal is when you read, whatever you want to learn, you've got to be prepared to be uncomfortable. That's what media literacy is all about. I'm not going to say that I'm the most media literate person in the world. I'm probably not. I'm definitely not. Honestly, if I'm average, that's a win for me. Okay, it's been a good while since I've engaged with books like this. So I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. So far, it's not bad. I'm on page 26. Not bad. I think I know who the first murder is. But we'll talk about that when I do a first impression, because look how thick this bitch is. Look at it. He's big. It's almost like he's old big. It's been a while. Like, I used to eat books this length up. It has been a while since I've read anything over like 500 pages. I think North of the Night was like 490 something. So, okay, so this is House of Sky and Breath. I don't read the excerpts of the next books. Okay, so epilogue. This is 799 pages. 800 pages. It's been a while. It's a chunky boy. It's a big old chunky boy. So hopefully I can finish this by Saturday. I'm not going to be mad if I don't, though. High key, it's okay. But this is what you can look forward to if I don't DNF it. This is what you can look forward to. This is the next review I'm going to do. So for now,